All right, welcome to another deep dive. This time, we're going to help you absolutely crush it in your next statistician job interview.
That's right.
And to do that, we've got some awesome resources from RoleCatcher.
Awesome.
We're talking their Statistician Career Guide for like the overall view.
Yep.
The Statistician Interview Guide,
Yeah.
which is going to get down to the nitty-gritty of specific questions.
Uh-huh.
And then a little bit about how RoleCatcher itself, especially their AI tools, can be your secret weapon in this whole process.
Absolutely. They can really help you stand out.
Okay, so first, let's paint a picture of what a statistician actually does.
Right.
The career guide says it's more than just, being a math whiz. It's collecting, tabulating, analyzing,
Yeah.
and then giving advice based on those insights you pull out of the data. It's like detective work, but with numbers.
Exactly. And that detective work can take you to a lot of different places. The guide points out statisticians are in healthcare, demographics, finance, business. It's pretty much any industry where they need someone to make sense of all those numbers.
Right, so it's a pretty versatile skill set.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a nice perk the guide highlighted. Remote work.
Oh, definitely a big plus for a lot of people.
Though it does mention the potential for long hours and tight deadlines, so
Yeah, that's something to keep in mind.
something to consider for sure.
Definitely.
All right, are you ready to jump into these interview questions? This is where things get real.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Let's start with this one. How would you explain a complex statistical concept to a layperson?
Okay. Yeah, that's a classic.
It's not about giving a textbook definition, right?
No, definitely not. What they're really looking for is if you can bridge that gap between the technical stuff and being able to explain it clearly.
So how do you recommend someone approach this?
I'd say think about using analogies or everyday examples. Like imagine you're trying to explain statistical significance to someone who's not a statistician.
Right.
You could talk about, say, a basketball player making 10 free throws in a row. That's statistically significant because it's unlikely to happen by pure chance.
Oh, I like that. That makes it relatable.
Exactly. It helps them understand the concept without getting lost in the technical details.
What are some things people should avoid saying when answering this question?
Definitely avoid any kind of technical jargon and don't get bogged down in complex formulas.
Right.
Keep it simple, focus on the main idea, and be careful not to sound condescending.
Okay, good advice. Next up, how do you ensure the accuracy and reliability of your statistical analyses? This feels like they're looking for someone meticulous.
Absolutely, yeah. It's all about demonstrating that you have a process, for validating data, selecting the right models, and being aware of potential biases.
So how would someone structure a strong answer to this one?
I would start by explaining how you check for errors and inconsistencies in the data. Mention specific techniques you use, like data visualization to spot outliers, or validation rules during data entry. Then talk about how you choose the appropriate statistical model for the data and the research question at hand.
So you're showing them you have a system. You're not just winging it.
Exactly. You're demonstrating that you have a methodical approach to ensuring your analysis is sound.
Makes sense. Now, this next one's interesting. How do you handle missing data in your statistical analyses?
Oh, yeah, that's a really important one.
Seems pretty specific.
It is, but missing data is something you'll almost always encounter. The way you handle it can have a big impact on your findings. They want to know you understand the nuances of different techniques.
Like what? What kind of techniques could someone mention?
Well, there's imputation, where you replace missing values with estimated ones based on the available data.
Oh, so like filling in the gaps.
Yeah, exactly. There are different methods for doing that, like mean imputation or regression imputation. Then there's deletion, which is simply removing cases with missing data.
But that seems like you could lose valuable information.
You're right. It can lead to information loss and potential bias if the missing data isn't random.
Right. Okay.
And then there's weighting, where you adjust the weight of the remaining cases to compensate for the missing data.
So it sounds like choosing the right technique involves really thinking about the specific data and research question.
Absolutely. There's no one-size-fits-all answer. You need to think critically about the nature of the missing data, the potential impact on your analysis, and the assumptions of each method.
All right, moving on to How do you determine sample size for a statistical study? That sounds like it requires a good grasp of the theory behind it.
It does. This one gets into the concept of statistical power, which is the probability of detecting a real effect if one exists.
I see.
So how do you explain that in an interview setting?
Yeah, how do you make that clear?
Well, you can start by explaining that statistical power depends on several factors, like the effect size you're trying to detect, the desired level of significance, and of course, the sample size. You can also mention techniques for estimating effect sizes, like using previous research or conducting pilot studies.
So it's about designing a study that's robust enough to actually answer the question you're trying to answer.
Exactly. And you can even mention software or online tools that help calculate sample size.
Oh, right. Show them you're practical, too.
Exactly. It shows you have both the theoretical knowledge and the practical experience.
All right, let's tackle this one. How do you handle data that violate assumptions of normality or homogeneity of variance?
That sounds a little intimidating, to be honest.
Yeah, it does, a bit.
But it's a common challenge. Many statistical tests rely on assumptions about the data, like normality or equal variances.
Wow.
If those assumptions are violated, it can really mess up your results. So this question is meant to assess if you understand those assumptions and how to deal with them.
Okay, so what's a good approach here?
Well, the first thing is to acknowledge that it's something you actively check for, not something you ignore.
Right, of course.
Then you can mention techniques like data transformations.
Okay.
For example, you might use logarithmic or square root transformations to normalize skewed data.
So you're sort of reshaping the data to fit the requirements of the test.
Yeah, exactly. And then there are non-parametric tests, which are less reliant on specific distribution assumptions. They tend to be more robust when you have outliers or non-normally distributed data.
Got it.
And another option is robust regression, which is a type of regression analysis that's less sensitive to these violations.
It sounds like there's a whole toolkit of ways to handle these challenges.
The key is to show the interviewer that you understand which tool to use in which situation. You don't have to go into super deep detail about each one, but you should be able to explain the basic idea.
All right, this next one seems particularly relevant these days. How do you ensure the privacy and confidentiality of data in a statistical analysis?
That's a crucial one. Data privacy is so important.
Absolutely.
They want to see that you understand the ethical and legal implications of working with sensitive information.
What kind of answer would really impress them here?
Well, you could mention de-identification techniques,
Okay.
which is like removing or obscuring personally identifiable information. Replacing names with unique identifiers or masking part of a social security number.
So you're making it impossible to link the data back to a specific individual.
Exactly. And you could also talk about data encryption during storage and transmission, using secure data storage facilities and implementing access controls. You want to create multiple layers of security to safeguard the data.
It sounds like a proactive approach is really important.
It definitely is. Interviewers want to see that you're thinking ahead, that you take data privacy seriously and you're committed to upholding ethical standards.
All right, let's talk about this one. How do you communicate statistical findings to non-technical stakeholders?
Okay, yeah, communication is key because data is only as good as your ability to explain it.
So how can someone effectively communicate complex findings to an audience that might not be familiar with all the technical details?
I think visualizations are super important. Charts, graphs, infographics, those can really make the data come alive. They help people grasp patterns and trends much easier than just looking at a table full of numbers.
So it's about presenting the information in a way that's engaging and easy to understand.
Exactly. And use plain language. Avoid jargon.
Right. Make it accessible.
You can use analogies or metaphors to explain complex concepts.
I see.
Like you could compare a regression analysis to finding the line of best fit through a scatter plot.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, what are some common pitfalls to avoid?
Don't overwhelm them with too much information at once. Break things down into key takeaways, present it in a logical order, and ask questions. Make sure they're following along.
Right, the two-way street.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. How do you stay current with developments in statistical methods and software?
Ah, yes, the ever-evolving field of statistics. Staying up to date is so important.
Absolutely.
It's like a doctor keeping up with the latest medical research. You need to know the newest techniques and tools to provide the best care.
So what are some concrete things you'd mention in an interview to show that you're staying current?
Well, reading scientific journals is essential, and attending industry conferences is a great way to learn about new developments and network with other professionals. You could also mention following thought leaders on social media or subscribing to blogs and podcasts.
Okay, yeah. It's about showing them you're actively engaged in the field.
Exactly. And if you can mention specific journals, conferences, or websites that you find valuable, that shows you've done your homework.
Good point. Okay, last question from this section of the guide. How do you determine the appropriate statistical test for a given research question?
Okay, so this one really tests your ability to apply your knowledge to a real-world scenario.
Right, it's not just about knowing the names of the tests.
Exactly. You need to understand when and why to use each one.
So how do you walk them through your thought process?
Well, I would emphasize the importance of clearly defining the research question.
Okay, step one.
And then identifying the type of data you're working with. Is it categorical or continuous? Are you comparing groups or looking for correlations?
Right. Yeah.
Once you have that figured out, you can start narrowing down the potential tests.
So it's like you're following a decision tree.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can mention specific tests and their common applications, like t-tests for comparing means, chi-square tests for categorical data, or regression analysis for modeling relationships.
So you're showing them you have a toolkit of methods and you know how to choose the right tool for the job.
Precisely. And don't be afraid to mention that you're always open to consulting with other statisticians or referring to statistical resources.
Right, it's not always a solo endeavor.
Exactly. Collaboration can lead to much better insights and analysis.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground with these interview questions. But now I want to shift gears a bit and talk about how RoleCatcher's platform and AI tools can give you an edge in your job search.
Oh yeah, those AI tools are incredibly helpful.
Okay, tell me more. What makes them so special?
Well, RoleCatcher goes beyond just finding jobs. Think of it as your personal interview coach.
Okay, I like that.
It's not just about providing sample questions and answers. Their AI algorithms can analyze your responses, give you personalized feedback, and even help you tailor your answers to the specific job you're applying for.
That's really cool. It's like having a virtual mock interview with an expert who knows exactly what employers are looking for.
Exactly. And they even offer video practice with AI feedback. You can record yourself answering questions and get a detailed analysis of your performance.
Wow. So it's not just about what you say, but how you say it.
That's right. It analyzes your body language, your tone of voice, everything.
That's incredibly valuable.
It really is. And with a free version available, you can try out all these tools and see the difference they can make in your preparation.
This has been a great overview of the statistician landscape and some of the most common interview questions. But we're not done yet. In part 2, we're going to dive into how RoleCatcher's AI can help you tailor your CV and cover letter to make a lasting impression.
It's going to be good. Welcome back to the deep dive. In part 1, we talked about tough interview questions, and now we're moving on to something super important, your CV or resume.
Yeah, it's not just about listing your skills and experience anymore, is it?
No, not at all. You have to present them in a way that really aligns with what the employer is looking for, especially since so many applications are being screened by AI these days.
Oh yeah, those applicant tracking systems, or ATS, they can be tough to get past.
Exactly. And that's where RoleCatcher's CV Resume Builder can really help you out. It uses AI to create a CV that stands out to both recruiters and those ATS systems.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How does that actually work?
So it starts by analyzing the job description. The AI looks at the language used in the ad, the keywords, the specific skills they're asking for. Then it compares that to your CV and highlights areas where you might be missing some key elements, or where you could make things a bit stronger.
So it's like having an expert recruiter looking over your shoulder, giving you tips on how to improve.
That's a great way to put it. And the best part is it doesn't just tell you what's missing. It gives you specific suggestions for how to incorporate those missing elements.
Okay, that sounds super helpful. Can you give me some examples? Like, how would it suggest tailoring the CV for a specific job?
Sure, let's say the job description really emphasizes experience with SAS, a particular statistical software package. But your current CV only mentions R and Python. RoleCatcher might suggest adding a whole new software proficiency section and listing SAS there.
Even if you don't have a ton of experience with it.
Right, even if it's just basic familiarity. It's about showing them that you've at least had some exposure to what they're looking for. Another example is if the ad stresses strong communication skills. RoleCatcher might recommend rephrasing some of your bullet points to highlight times when you've had to present complex data to a non-technical audience.
Oh, I see. Tying it back to those interview questions we discussed.
Exactly. It's like RoleCatcher is anticipating what the recruiter is going to be looking for and helping you present yourself as the ideal candidate.
Okay, this all sounds great, but I have to ask, Does using an AI tool like this mean your CV ends up sounding robotic or generic?
That's a fair question. But RoleCatcher is really designed to enhance your own voice and style, not replace it. It's a collaborative process. The AI makes suggestions, but you ultimately decide what to include and how to phrase things.
So you're still in control. It's like having a writing partner, not a ghostwriter.
Exactly. Think of it this way. The AI is drawing on a massive amount of data about what works and what doesn't in job applications. It's like having access to the collective wisdom of thousands of recruiters.
That's a great point. So you're getting data-driven insights to help you put your best foot forward.
Absolutely. Okay, now let's talk about cover letters.
Oh, cover letters. Some people love them, some people dread them.
I know, right? But a well-written cover letter can be a really powerful tool. It lets you showcase your personality a bit more and explain why you're the perfect fit for this specific job.
So how does RoleCatcher help with cover letters?
It uses AI to help you write a cover letter that complements your tailored CV. Just like with the CV Builder, it starts by analyzing the job description and picking out key themes and qualifications that you can address in your letter.
So it's about going beyond just summarizing your CV and giving them specific examples that really demonstrate your skills and experience.
That's right. RoleCatcher can also help you brainstorm ideas, suggest strong opening and closing sentences, and even weave in a bit of storytelling to make your letter more engaging.
It's like having a writing coach in your corner, guiding you through the process.
And remember, personalization is super important with cover letters. Generic, cookie-cutter letters just don't cut it. Recruiters want to see that you've taken the time to understand the company and the specific role.
You have to show them you're genuinely excited about this opportunity, not just any opportunity.
Absolutely. And RoleCatcher can help you inject that personalization into your cover letter. It might suggest ways to connect your skills and experience to the company's mission statement or recent news articles about them.
So you're demonstrating that you've done your research.
Exactly. You're showing them that you're a good match for their culture and values. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but won't my cover letter sound robotic if I'm using an AI tool? And that's a valid concern. But again, RoleCatcher is designed to enhance your own voice, not replace it. You're always in control of the final product.
So it's about collaboration, not automation.
I like that. Collaboration, not automation. That's a great way to put it.
All right, we've talked about CVs and cover letters, but RoleCatcher also has tools to help you prepare for the actual interview, right?
Oh, absolutely. We touched on this briefly in part 1, but it's worth emphasizing just how powerful their interview prep features are. They go way beyond just providing sample questions and answers. You get AI-powered feedback on your actual responses.
Yeah. Remind me how that works. Do you type in your answers or?
You can type them in, but the really cool part is the video practice feature. You record yourself answering interview questions just like you would in a real interview. And then RoleCatcher's AI analyzes your performance, giving you feedback on everything from your body language to the content of your answers.
Wow, that's impressive. It's like having a virtual mock interview with an expert who can pinpoint areas for improvement that you might not even be aware of.
That's exactly it. The feedback is super detailed. It can tell you things like whether you're making enough eye contact, if you're talking too fast or too slow, or if you're using too many filler words.
So it's not just about what you say, but how you say it, which is so important, especially if you tend to get nervous in interviews.
For sure. Practicing with RoleCatcher's AI tools can help you identify those nervous habits and work on them before the big day. It's like having a safe space to make mistakes and learn from them, so that when you go into the real interview, you feel confident and prepared.
This is great. We've learned how RoleCatcher can help you tailor your CV, write a compelling cover letter, and even practice your interview skills. It really does feel like a comprehensive platform to help you land that dream statistician role. All right, welcome back to the deep dive. We've covered some really tough interview questions and how RoleCatcher can help you create a standout application. But there's more to this whole job search thing than just the CV and the cover letter, right?
You're absolutely right. There's the whole organization side of things, keeping track of everything, making sure you're following up at the right time. And that's another area where RoleCatcher can be a real lifesaver.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just about those initial documents.
Nope. It's designed to support you throughout the entire job search process, kind of like a one-stop shop for everything you need.
Okay, I'm liking this already. What are some of the features that help you stay organized?
Well, one feature I really like is the Job Search Planner. It's basically a centralized hub where you can keep track of all your applications, Set reminders for follow-ups, organize your networking contacts. Everything's all in one place.
So no more sticky notes scattered all over the desk.
Exactly. No more spreadsheets either. And it integrates seamlessly with all the other RoleCatcher features. Like, if you tailor your CV for a specific job, you can link it directly to that job in your job search planner.
So everything's connected and easy to find. That's pretty slick. What about networking? Can I help with that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. RoleCatcher has this built-in network feature. You can import your contacts from LinkedIn or your email address book.
Okay.
You can categorize them, add notes from your conversations, even link them to specific job applications. It's not just a static list of names. It's a tool to actively build and manage your professional network.
I like that because networking is so important,
Mm-hmm.
but it can be hard to keep track of everything.
Exactly. And it uses this visual Kanban style board, which is a really nice way to organize and track your progress with each contact.
Oh, I love Kanban boards.
They're great for visualizing your workflow. You can move contacts between different stages, like initial contact, follow-up, job lead. It makes it really easy to see at a glance where you need to focus your energy.
Okay, RoleCatcher is sounding more and more like a must-have. But what about people who might be feeling a bit lost? Like they're not even sure what kind of job they're looking for.
Well, RoleCatcher has a feature for that too. It's called Career Compass. It's designed to help you explore different career paths, identify your skills and interests, discover new job titles you might not have even considered before.
So it's like having a career counselor right there in the platform.
That's a good way to think about it. And it goes beyond just giving you generic advice. It actually uses the data from your CV and your interactions with the platform to give you personalized recommendations.
So the more you use it, the more it learns about you and can tailor its suggestions.
Precisely. It's like having a career partner who's always there to guide you.
Wow, RoleCatcher really does seem like it has everything. Is there anything it can't do?
Well, it can't go to the interview for you,
True.
but it can certainly give you all the tools and resources you need to feel confident and prepared to ace it.
That's a great point. And with everything we've discussed today, it feels like RoleCatcher is doing just about everything else to help you in your job search.
It really is a comprehensive platform designed to empower you every step of the way.
And the best part is, there's a free version, so you can try it out and see for yourself how helpful it can be.
No risk involved.
Exactly. Well, I think that about wraps it up for this deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground, from those tricky interview questions to tailoring your application with RoleCatcher's AI to staying organized and even exploring different career paths.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. We hope this deep dive has been helpful, inspiring even. You have the skills, the knowledge, and now you have the tools to go out there and land that dream statistician role.
And if you need a little extra support along the way, don't forget to check out RoleCatcher. It can make a real difference.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for joining us, and good luck with your job hunt. We'll be back soon with another deep dive into a topic we think you'll find valuable and insightful.